Welcome to the Business of Travel, the official podcast of the Global Business Travel Association. I'm Debbie Iannaci, Head of Global Communications, Public Relations and Research for GBTA, and I'll be your host for today's episode. Today, we're welcoming Ryan Morris, Vice President of Sales for the Americas Groups 360. Today, we're going to be talking about how the industry still remains challenged by booking hotel rooms and group space, even as other industries have gone way far ahead in making things happen. How are you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Debbie.
Great. So tell us a little bit about that. So when we think about the advent of booking group rooms and event space online, how is that changing group travel in general? What are you seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. At Groups 360, as we have set out to make group travel simple, we look at other industries and how they've evolved. So as we have met with hotel management companies and, ran breakouts and talked with thousands of hotel sales leaders and sales managers, and really we kind of pulled them as we're talking through, and we asked them questions about what they booked online in the past year. And we had listed pizza, clothing, cars, airline tickets, houses. And I lost a bet with my CEO, but I thought that pizza and airlines would be one and two. It was actually clothing and groceries through that. So, as you look at different industries, how they've evolved, and sometimes COVID has a little effect on that. When we look at clothing, we used to go to a store and try it on and feel the fabric, and for guys, I don't know any Seinfeld fans, but it's all about the second button. If it's too high or too low. But now they've figured it out through Amazon and Stitch Fix to send you bulk clothes, different sizes, different styles. You try them on at your house and you put it, whatever you want, you keep, and whatever you don't, you send back. I wouldn't have fathomed 5 years ago even that, for groceries, that I can go and fill out a list online and they're going to go pick out that I want, ripe bananas, and they're going to deliver that to my house. We've done airline tickets for years. We see cars with the, Carvana and Vroom. You can drive a car for 7 or 10 days and return it if you don't like it. So all this is going on online, and then we get to group travel, and really nothing has changed in that advancement in 20 years. It's the digital RFP, which was great at the time. But with Instant Book now, and what we did was focused on, most of us came from the hotel world, a lot of us Gaylord hotels. So we knew really from booking business, we knew the hotel journey. The first 4 years with Groups 360, we focused on planners and wanted to know their journey. And what we've had now is really meeting the client on how they want to buy now and helping the hotels list their real-time group room rates, their space inventory at real time, audio, visual, and catering, making that process simple. And that's really when we talked to over 3,000 planners through 2020. At first it was a reach out to see how folks are doing, scared for their lives and their jobs and their health. As we started coming out of that, we started asking questions. Hey, this industry is going to come back with vengeance. Do you want to go back to the way it was? If you had a magic wand, what would you want? And they came back with, we need data, content, information up front, autonomy to book, transparency. And these were all the things that we were working on in the industry, a lot of the major hotel chains and independents. So,
well, that's quite a wish list. That
right?
what is one of those things? You asked the question and you got the answer. So,
Yep.
but let's talk a little bit about Group Sync Marketplace. Tell us a little bit about that, and maybe a little idea of kind of the hotel brands that are providing their group inventory and rates.
Yeah, absolutely. So within Group Sync, we wanted to create a marketplace with all of we just talked about for the planners, is that transparency and a lot of data up front. So for the hotels, they get an educated consumer coming into their hotel that's looking. So right now we have we cover 225 countries and territories, 200,000 hotels worldwide. We have right now live for instant booking Hilton Global. For rooms only right now, 10 to 25 on peak. We'll have space coming shortly this year. We have Omni Hotels and Resorts live for Instant Book for guest rooms and meeting space. Premier Inns in the UK and a select few IHG hotels right now, but we should have for instant booking by the end of the year just over 25,000 hotels available for instant booking.
Wow, that's certainly a big volume for the industry to take advantage of. So speaking of that, what are you seeing as the typical group size, and these days? And what's the booking window? Is it changing? Because we're seeing a lot of timeline shifting because of COVID, and people are making decisions differently. What are you finding in what you're looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. For as far as group size, we're seeing really a smaller segment, and I'll touch on booking windows in a second. But instead of the large annual meeting, a lot of companies are breaking down and doing smaller regional meetings, meeting more frequently instead of the annual. They're booking a lot closer into. We're seeing for RFP distribution, we're seeing a month or 2 month lead time, opposed to it used to be 6 to 8 months for certain size groups. For Instant Book, we're seeing 12 days and less as far as lead time. And really, when you look at what's going on in the industry as far as short staffing, we've had the great resignation, the great retirement, and group sales and hotels has been affected by that. And a lot of times, if you're looking at a short booking window, within a month even, to send an RFP out to try to get responses in that time has been really challenging. And what we've seen in talking is other distribution RFP distribution companies when we attend, and we see on the panel of these hotel management companies, they're saying work harder and longer, respond faster. And if you're missing out on business, if you're not staying late on Friday and come in on Saturday, well, these hotel folks are overworked already,
It's
understaffed.
not sustainable, right?
Exactly. So we're saying, hey, there might be a better way to do this. And if you can offload some of your bookings, your simple bookings online and have that instant book, you might be able to redistribute your sales team for maybe, higher revenue generating, maybe for larger programs that may be complex without missing out on the smaller ones as they're coming in.
Well, it sounds like a lot of, the industry's thinking about what was then and what is now. And you touched on the RFPs. So when thinking of the traditional RFP, how does that contrast with the instant booking approach for groups and events?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently, for RFP distribution, I'll touch on that a little bit. 20 years ago, when the industry set out to have more of a formality and consistency in an RFP, the great job in that been the last 20 years. Not a lot of advancement in there. It made it easy for planners to go in and select multiple markets, multiple hotels. We've seen, small RFPs go out in the past in other platforms with 75 hotels attached to an RFP. And really, they're not looking to send an RFP. It's really a request for information, an RFI,
Right.
right? So really what we wanted to do on the RFP front through GroupSync is to have better content. We have Smith travel data. We have now rate expectations, occupancy percentages, educating the planner along the way to help narrow that search. There's, hundreds of thousands of hotels out there in certain markets, hundreds, if not thousands, for them to choose from. So we're trying to match each program from the criteria they put in and match it to the best destinations with scoring, with unbiased scoring, and down to the hotel level for scoring. When we talk about instant booking, when you have this level of information and trust from the planner side, makes it a lot easier for planners to go. They can compare real-time group room rates for the first time and compare that maybe to the market data from Smith Travel and feel good that, hey, this is a great rate over these dates, or this fits my budget. And what we're seeing with that, with the instant booking, the hotels are actually booking higher ADR through instant book because it's their revenue strategy, it's their group strategy with no negotiation. The planners, if it's in their budget, they're saving time with that. And if it's within their budget, then really everyone wins at that. They're not tying up, the back and forth from a sales manager and a planner chasing down all of the RFPs.
Well, it sounds, I personally have always been so impressed by event and travel planners. They have some of the most difficult jobs, in the industry, but that has been incredibly complicated by, the new ways of doing business, as well as coming off, as we come off of a pandemic globally. So as, events and conferences are coming back, we're here at the GBTA Convention 2022 with thousands of people. When we think about kind of what that looks like these days, and all the people that need hotels and places to stay, room block management. How are those headaches that maybe travel planners are facing right now? being taken a look at or being assisted by Group Sync?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, and really a huge opportunity we feel on the group housing side. I'll give a couple of personal examples that I've traveled recently, but currently out there when hotels that have a group housing platform or third party, it's a different experience than when you travel personally. When you travel personally, you start with like your loyalty number, and you're a guest from the start, right? And if you're Marriott or Hilton or anybody that has a loyalty program, they might know that you like a king room, you like a high floor, want away from the elevator. I like two bottles of water. And for when you go through group housing platforms, they're not capturing that, and you're just an attendee, right? And this is really hard from a travel standpoint. I'll touch on meeting planners in a second, as you mentioned, a very stressful job. But for the hotel, it's almost recovery mode because they might have, let's say, for Marriott, a titanium person coming in, and they didn't know that till they get to the front desk, and that titanium traveler, might be used to a suite upgrade or a king room, a high floor. When they get there and they were just an attendee, they weren't able to capture that early on. They don't have that same experience. They might have a double queen, lower floor, all okay, but that's not the normal travel. So what we've tried to do through optimized housing and through GroupSync is really to turn that attendee into a guest from the start. You can capture a loyalty program from the start. If they don't have it, they can sign up for it. It allows the hotel to understand who's coming in, know their tendencies and allow the hotel to upsell either room type, length of stay. You can break out even if, for myself, I have my wife and daughter at the tail end or front end, that I can make one transaction and say, this is going to be on my corporate card, and I'm going to have some on my personal travel in one transaction. So through this process, when you have attendees through there, we have also a uh, gifting and experiences that hotels can offer to attendees that are coming in. Once they're guests and you identify that, you might be able to upsell either spa, restaurants, meals throughout, and different experiences. It might be that they can purchase ahead of time and redeem when they get to the hotel. So that's revenue for the hotel. The guest is a guest from the start through here, and a better experience for the traveler. You mentioned meeting planners, so we talked with a lot of planners through this, and the other big issue that we're trying to solve. And I'll give a quick story. When I went to San Juan, Puerto Rico recently, but you can't currently, very difficult to self remedy a change to a reservation in a group housing platform. So we're solving for that. I was going down to San Juan for a conference, and I had the dates wrong, travel a lot, and I thought I could arrive on a Monday, leave on a Wednesday, but I had meetings on Sunday. So I called the hotel and they said, hey, there is a group housing third party housing platform. You need to call them. This is Friday at 8 o'clock, and there's nobody there to answer. I can't self remedy, and really no help. So I had to show up sight unseen on Sunday and hope for the best.
I was going to say, I give you credit for that, for showing up with fingers crossed. But I would say this, Ryan. Interesting that you say that because I'm thinking of my own examples of how I've been in the same situation. And there is that complexity and that frustration of trying to, as you're going to a meeting, but you have it maybe combined with blended travel with family and all the aspects of the traveler and how they are versus how the systems are. You touched on it in a minute, and again, it reminds me of the ecosystem that is our industry, where the planners sit, where the hoteliers sit. How does that actually work? Is there any more, like, tell us a little bit about how the communication happens or that integration between these different touch points that have been more disconnected or fragmented in the past?
I would say, yeah, disconnected for sure in the past. So what we're solving for within Group Sync housing is it's one environment for the hotel and the meeting planner and the traveler. So in the past, a lot of struggle and stress that the meeting planner has already, I think in the top 3 or 4 most stressful jobs in the world is a meeting planner, right? And we'll see it here as we're running around. But what we're trying to do is a lot of stress on, there's attrition in contracts. And as a meeting planner, they're constantly calling group housing. What's my pickup? Where am I at? And they're having to create, a lot of work for the hotels to create housing and pickup reports. This might be a 3 to 5 day delay. And this is stress on the planner. So what we've created is that the same environment that the hotel's working in, it's real time for the planner, that they can go in, they can look at their own pickup reports, they can look at who has booked. So there's transparency there. If anything is edited or who's canceled, they have that. And then also at the time of booking, when they sign their contract, they can go right from that contract into a web link that they can send out, and they can have multiple. If you have your staff, if you have your VIP block and attendees, which we call guests now in here. But when you have that, they can send out all those links within minutes of having transparency at any time. It might be late at night and they're stressed over it. They can go in and look at their pickup, and and they can take action right away.
Well, that definitely sounds like, Groups 360 is looking at a lot of the different aspects and pain points, or not all of us as even frequent business travelers ourselves, much less working in the industry. It sounds like it's going to be a win-win all the way around, not only for the planners, the hoteliers, but for, as you call us now, guests all around.
Exactly.
So great. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us for today's podcast.
All right. Thank you, Debbie.
You've been listening to The Business of Travel, the official podcast of the Global Business Travel Association. For more information about GBTA and its work, visit gbta.org. And be sure to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, thanks for listening.